Hello everyone and welcome to the WCG for quarterfinal 3 of the 2021 Australia Day T20 Big Bash, which sees the Group C winners, the Saggy Greens, taking on Group D runners-up Wet Up for a spot in the semi-finals. Here this looks like a very intriguing encounter as the two green machines face off, but only one team in green can keep their title hopes alive. So as we take a look at both sides' road to the quarterfinals, it was the Saggy Greens who would top Group C with a 100% record, knocking off the Nif Nuffs in that classic Group C opener, and then eventually overcoming the WCG Babes after a minor scare to finish top of the pile. It was a very different story for the 2019 champs, who left it to the very last over of the Group of Death to qualify, knocking off Young Money Cash Money to sneak through in second place on wickets taken. The captains are in the middle, ready for the toss.
The lowest ring side, those two, so why do you call?
Ready? Right, heels are flats.
Hills. It's a flat.
So it's Tom Doy, the Saggy Green skipper, who wins the toss, and he elects to send Wet Up into bat. As we take a look at his side's lineup for this crunch quarter final, they'll come into this contest full of confidence after finishing the group stage with a 100% record, thanks largely to their skipper, who is having a fantastic tournament once again, coming off a match-winning knock against the Nif Nuffs in that classic Group C opener, and has taken all 4 of the wickets that the Saggy Greens have managed so far in this tournament, so he's leading from the front once again. As we take a look at Wet Up's side for this massive knockout fixture, it's been largely Michael Johnson who has led the way with the blade for the 2019 champs. He's amassed 46 runs so far from his 2 digs in this competition, and is currently the leading run scorer of this year's tournament, so he's a man in form. And it's been the skipper, Matt White, who has led the way with the ball, has picked up both wickets that Wet Up have managed to take so far in this year's competition, and has bowled with tremendous pace and control once again. His side will be hoping he can lead from the front and guide them to another semi-final berth. Just before we get underway, we'd like to thank our major partners for this year's competition, Campbelltown Motor Auctions, who have been fantastic since jumping on board this season, and our ever-reliable and long-standing partners, Harley Cranes Group. It's the battle of the green machines for a spot in the semi-finals. Quarterfinal 3 ready to go. And it will be Michael Johnson who will get this innings underway for Wet Up. As mentioned prior, has had a fantastic tournament so far with the blade. Can he get the 2019 champs off to another flyer? So only one team in green will be smiling after this one. We're ready to get this massive clash underway. This is going to be Tom Doy to bowl the first over of the innings. He's in now, round the wicket to Johnson. He's got it, and it's gone over the fence. So Johnson has gone with the very first ball of this quarter-final. That is a massive moment for the Saggy Greens. Tom Doy picks up yet another wicket in this year's competition. The informed Michael Johnson goes for a golden duck to begin with, and Wet Up in trouble at 1 for none. A brilliant start to this quarter-final from the Saggy Greens, as that wicket now brings the Wet Up skipper Matt White to the crease. Guided his side home in their last match against Young Money Cash Money, which saw them sneak through to the quarterfinals. Can he stand up for his side here? So it's going to be Tom Doy to continue 2 wide around the wicket. Here's in now, it's a play and a miss, is it? There's an appeal here from the Saggy Greens. Oh, and it's been given not out. So nervy moments here to begin with here for Wet Up, as White survives an early scare. The Saggy Greens have begun brightly. Doy to continue 2 wide in the opening over. Here he's in now around the wicket. This one's a short delivery, and this one lobs over White's head, so that'll be called a wide. So Wet Up are off the mark here in this quarter-final. 1 for 1 in the opening over. It's been a good start with the ball from Tom Doy, apart from that last delivery. You feel if he can bowl well in this quarter-final, it'll go a long way to seeing the Saggy Greens through. Here he'll continue again now 2 wide, and this one's a short wide delivery. White goes bang on the offside for the first maximum of the match. White off the mark in style. Wet Up 1 for 7 in the opening over. So positive signs from the Wet Up skipper early on, as Doy will continue to him now around the wicket, and this one's a full delivery and it beats White outside the off stump. Well, that's a brilliant reply from the Saggy Green skipper. White caught on the crease there, but thankfully from his point of view, there's no edge. So we arrive at the final delivery of what's been an entertaining opening over. It's Doy 2 White, and this one's played absolutely on the offside, but he's picked the gap wide to end the over with a boundary. Matt White clearly in a positive frame of mind to begin this quarter-final. 1 for 11 after one. It's going to be Dave Lupton bowl the second over of this contest. Here he's in now to White, and he begins with a full toss, and White hits his back, passing down the ground for yet another boundary. Brilliant stuff this from the wet-up skipper to begin with, as he moves along to 14. 14 runs coming off the last 4 deliveries. Lupton is in once again to White, and White is forward, and this one lobs over the fence. There's an appeal here from the Saggy Greens. The umpire has turned it down. Yeah, as we have a look at it, straight off the knee. Good decision. So it's action aplenty to begin this quarter-final, as Lupton will continue to White in the second over, and Lupton digs this one in short. White guides it onto the fence as he moves along for a single, and it was a brilliant bit of fielding there from Jack Sullivan, who got rid of it quickly. He nearly caught the wet-up skipper napping here. He moves quickly, throws it to Lupton. Oh, wonder if he let that one go. Wet up 1 for 16 in the second over. As Lupton will continue over the wicket. This one's a back of a length delivery, and it's cut away on the offside, but it's been brilliantly stopped there from Jack Sullivan. It's been a brilliant start to this quarter-final from the big fella also, who gets down well to his left. Oh, that's a brilliant stop. Saves a certain boundary. So Lupton is in for the final ball of the second over. He's in now, this one's a short wide delivery, but White fails to put this one away once again. 1 for 16 after 2. So this has been a brilliant contest so far in this quarter-final. Saggy Greens picking up a wicket with the very first ball of the match, but the wet-up skipper is fighting back for his side. 1 for 16 after 2 overs, as we enter the back end of the innings. And it's going to be Jack Sullivan who will bowl the third over of this innings. As he goes around the wicket to White, and he begins with a back of a length delivery. White hits this into the turf, and it lobs over for another boundary. So White is on fire here in quarter-final 3. He moves to 19. He's side 1 for 20. Sullivan to continue to White in the third over. Here he's in now. This one's a full delivery, and it's a swing and a miss there from White. He'll be disappointed with that one, the wet-up skipper. It was a half volley there for the taking, and he can't capitalise. Sullivan will continue to White in the third over. Here he's in now around the wicket. This one's a brilliant delivery, which goes right through the wet-up skipper. So Sullivan recovering well after that opening boundary. This is a good contest. Sullivan to continue around the wicket here to White. Here he's in now. This one's a back of a length delivery, and it's another swing and a miss here from the wet-up skipper. So 3 priceless dots here in a row for the Saggy Greens. So we arrive at the final delivery of the over. It's Sullivan to White, and this one's a full toss, and he played it away to Doy on the leg side for no run. So that ends a pretty decent over there from Sullivan. Wet up 1 for 22. It's going to be Tom Doy to bowl the final over of the innings. As he's in now, this one's a good length delivery, but White cuts this away brilliantly on the offside to begin the final over with a boundary. It's a brilliant transferring of weight there from the skipper, who moves into the 20s. White 23, wet up 1 for 26. As Doy's in once again around the wicket. This one strikes White on the leg, and he's going to move through for a leg by. And it's another brilliant bit of fielding there from Jack Sullivan, who nearly runs out the wet-up skipper. Well, he's fielded like a man on a mission so far in this quarter-final. It's a brilliant turn and throw, and a direct hit, and White was toast. Well, another nearly moment there for the Saggy Greens. Doy will continue to White in the final over. This one's a back of a length delivery. White cuts this on the offside for another maximum. Doy proving expensive so far in this final over, as White is standing up for his side in this crunch contest. 1 for 33. So brilliant this from the wet-up skipper, has moved along to 29. As Doy's in for the penultimate delivery of the over, and it's a flick outside edge, and it goes away to the boundary once again. So everything going wet-up's way at the moment. The wet-up skipper moves into the 30s. 1 for 37 with 1 delivery remaining. So we arrive at the final delivery of the innings. Doy into White. This one's a short delivery, and he's had a wild swing. And they're asking if this is out. Well, I don't think the umpire has given this out. Either way, it's a dot ball. Oh no, he has given it out now. It looks like, yeah, White's got a clear bottom edge there. He's out for 33. So Wet Up, who at one stage were 1 for none in the opening over, have made their way to 2 for 37 after their 20 deliveries, thanks solely to their skipper Matt White, who was dismissed with the final ball of the innings for a well-made 33. It's a formidable target, but if there's one side who doesn't know what that means, it is the Saggy Greens. It's 38 to get for a spot in the semi-finals. And it's going to be Dave Lupton who will get this run chase underway for the Saggy Greens. Coming off a knock of 30 not out against the WCG Babes in their last outing. So he's a man full of confidence. And he's going to have to be, as he'll face a fired-up Matt White to begin with. It's 38 or bust for the Saggy Greens. As White will come over the wicket for the first over of the innings. Here he's in now and he begins with a full delivery. And Lupton gets his away to the boundary to begin with. So that's a positive start there for the Rockstar. He gets the Saggy Greens off and racing. White to continue to Lupton in the opening over. Here he's in now and he pulls his length back here, and it's a wild swing across the line there from Lupton, who doesn't make contact. So the intentions are clear here for Lupton. He's going to go after the wet-up skipper, so this should make for a very intriguing period of play. As White will continue to Lupton over the wicket. It's another full delivery and he clips this off his toes, and it beats Gavin Merrifield there at mid-wicket for another boundary. Lupton off to a flyer here in the run chase. No wicket for 8. Brilliant stuff to begin with here for Lupton. As White is in once again to him now, and he pulls his length back once again, and once again it's a wild hoik across the line, and once again he doesn't make contact. So that appears to be the area there for White. 2 over-pitch deliveries have been dispatched to the boundary, and when he's pulled his length back, Lupton hasn't been able to land bat on ball. Here's White is in for the final delivery of the opening over. Here's another back of a lane delivery, and it's played up a slip towards White, who drops the caught and bowl chance, and furthermore runs along for another boundary. Well, it's been yet another action-packed beginning to this innings. White grasps a sharp caught and bowl chance. Lupton moves along to 12, and will that prove to be a costly moment for the 2019 champs? The Saggy Greens no wicket for 12 after 1. It's going to be Gavin Merrifield to bowl the second over of the innings, as in now round the wicket. Lupton gets a thick inside edge, but doesn't beat White there at mid-wicket. So a welcome dot ball there for wet up. The Saggy Greens on track here in quarter-final 3. As Merrifield will continue to Lupton now. He's in now, this one's a back of a leg delivery. Oh, Lupton's hit this over the fence, has he? He has! It's the first wicket down! It's Merrifield who gets the big wicket of Lupton, who was beginning to look very dangerous at the crease. The Saggy Greens 1 for 12 in the second over. Merrifield picks up his first wicket of the tournament. Saggy Greens 1 for 12 in the second over, as that wicket now brings Jack Sullivan to the crease at number 2. His last effort with the bat ended in him becoming an internet sensation after being knocked over by his girlfriend. Can he put that right here? So it's Merrifield who will continue to Sullivan around the wicket. Here he's in now, and this one hits Jack on the body as he sets off for a leg by, but he can't run as he hasn't played a stroke. So it's an interesting decision here for the Saggy Greens, who are keeping Tom Doy in the sheds. They required 26 off 13 deliveries, so they've got to go at exactly 2 a ball here. So Sullivan will want to get his skates on. Here's Merrifield, will continue to him now around the wicket in the second over. Here he's in now, this one's a full delivery, and Sullivan hits his into the turf, and it lobs over Johnson's head for a much needed boundary. Well, that'll help things for the Saggy Greens as Sullivan gets off the mark in style. 1 for 16. Merrifield in for the final delivery of the over. He's in now, and it's a back of leg delivery, and Sullivan gets a thick inside edge onto his body, and he moves through for a single, and Merrifield misses from point blank range. Well, a direct hit, and he was surely toast. Merrifield turns and throws. Oh, it would have been tight, but he survives nevertheless. So things heating up in this quarter-final as we arrive at the back end of the contest. The Saggy Greens 1 for 17 after 2. Requiring a further 21 runs off 10 deliveries. Their skipper Tom Doy still in the sheds, but they'll want him at the crease as soon as possible. Or could it just be Jack Sullivan's day? So wet up going for the jugular here, as Matt White will bowl the third over of the innings. This is in now round the wicket here to Sullivan, against a thick outside edge onto the fence, and he's going to move through for a single. So they won't mind that, will the 2019 champs, as Sullivan consults with his skipper there in the stands. Still no sign of Tom Doy. They required 20 off 9 deliveries. You just hope that the Saggy Green skipper is getting his sums right. Things are getting extremely tight here for last year's semi-finalists, as White will continue to Sullivan around the wicket here in the third over. Here he's in now, this one's a back of a leg delivery, and Sullivan advances as it hits him on the body, and he'll move through for a leg by. So this is not enough here for the Saggy Greens. Yeah, and it looks like Tom Doy is going to come in now as he's retired Jack Sullivan. It's 19 to get off 8 deliveries here for the Saggy Green skipper. So the stage is set here for the biggest cult hero we've seen at the WCG. You just hope he hasn't left himself too much to do with too little time remaining. But this is now a massive period here in the quarterfinal. It's skipper v skipper here in the third over, as White will continue around the wicket to Doy for his first delivery. Here he's in now, and this one's a full toss, and Doy gets a thick inside edge onto his leg, and it beats Merrifield there mid-wicket for a boundary. So instant impact there for the skipper. It's a massive boundary here in quarterfinal 3. Saggy Greens 1 for 23. 15 to get from 7 deliveries, as White will continue to Doy in the third over, and this one's a back of a leg delivery, and it's a wild swing from Tom Doy, who doesn't make contact. So it's a priceless dot here for the 2019 champs. It's 15 to get from 6 deliveries, as we arrive at the final delivery of the over. He may just back himself against Michael Johnson in that final over, as White is in for the last ball of the over, and it's another swing and a miss there from Doy, as it's a brilliant over from White under pressure once again. So it comes down to the final over here in quarterfinal 3. The Saggy Greens requiring 15 off 5 deliveries, but if there's one man they'd want at the crease in this situation, it is their skipper. So we arrive at the final over of this quarterfinal. It's Michael Johnson to bowl to Tom Doy. Here he's in now, and he begins with a full delivery, and it's yet another swing and a miss there for the Saggy Green skipper. So Wet Up are inching themselves towards a semi-final appearance, as the Saggy Greens need boundaries. 15 to get from 4 deliveries, as Johnson will continue to Doy in the final over, and this one's a wide delivery. Yeah, it has been given a wide there from the umpire. There's hands on hips there from Wet Up, but from this angle it looked like a good decision. So that will have to be rebowled here for Wet Up. It's 14 off 4 deliveries here for the Saggy Green skipper. Here he needs a boundary, he needs it fast, as Johnson is in once again, and this hits him on the leg, and he's going to move through for a leg bye. On a direct hit, he might have been finished there, but it's still an excellent result there for Wet Up, who are now on the brink of a semi-final appearance. It's now 13 to get off 3 deliveries here for the Saggy Greens, so things getting very desperate indeed. You'd think Doy would need at least a boundary from this delivery, as Johnson is in once again in the final over. It's a good leg delivery, and it's another swing and a miss there from the Saggy Green skipper. Johnson holding his nerve in the final over, and they're nearly there. So the Saggy Greens need 2 sixes to send us to a super over. It's Johnson to Doy. It's a back of a leg delivery, and this one beats Merrifield on the onside for a boundary. In normal circumstances, this would be a choice occasion, but not this time, as it's not enough. So if Johnson can just bowl a legal delivery here, Wet Up are going to qualify for the semi-finals. It's 9 to get from 1 delivery, as Doy advances and hits his down the ground for a boundary. It's an anticlimactic end to this match, but Wet Up have snuck through in a beauty. They hold their nerve at the end to end the Saggy Greens run and qualify for the semi-finals, as this third quarter-final lives up to its billing, but it's Wet Up who get the chocolates, and the Saggy Greens are eliminated. So in a fantastic contest here in quarter-final 3, it is the 2019 champions Wet Up who progress through to the semi-finals. They knock off the highly fancied Saggy Greens by 4 runs in a tense affair. You just wonder if the skipper Tom Doy would have his time over again. Would he have given himself more time to chase these runs down? But it's all academic now, as the Saggy Greens are eliminated and Wet Up progress to the final 4. So as we look ahead to the 4th quarter-final, it is an absolute beauty to round us off here in the last 8. The Group of Death winners, Young Money, Cash Money, take on the Group C runners-up, the Nif Nuffs, for the last and remaining ticket to the semi-finals.